Hello everyone, my name is Cathi Rivera and today we're going to be learning how to do a paper mache figure. We are going to be doing a flying figure using simple materials that you can find in your kitchen. To start with, you will need a bowl from your kitchen, and you will need about a cup of flour, and you will need a container that you can pour some water from, and a spoon for mixing. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pour the flour into the bowl. Start out with about a half a cup of flour. I'm going to pour a little bit of water in, and as I'm pouring the water in, I'm going to be mixing it with the spoon. What we want to do is get a consistency that is creamy, not lumpy. Okay. Add a little more water. So you're going to have to just add the water and mix and get the right consistency. Okay, this is a little too thick. We want it to be the consistency of yogurt. Make sure that you are working in the kitchen or on a counter that is waterproof. This is just flour and water, so it's not toxic. You can clean it up later if you make a mess. Okay, next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting some newspaper, and we're going to be tearing the newspaper with the grain. Okay, the grain goes from top to the bottom of a regular newspaper. So if I take my finger and go from the top to the bottom, I'm going to be able to get nice little strips. If I go this way, very hard to tear off the strips. So we always want to tear with the grain. What I would do before you start anything is make a bunch of torn strips like this and just keep them on the side so that you can use them without having to tear up some more as you're working, because your hands are going to get a little sticky. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of newspaper . Section. We're going to coat this entire section of newspaper and we're going to roll it up. So just take your hands and smear it around. This is the fun part, getting your hands dirty. Okay, you want to really smear it up. Okay, and then we're going to start at the end and we're going to start rolling. So I'm going to start at the end. Start rolling this up. Try to get it as tightly rolled as you can get it. It's okay in the beginning. It's going to feel more like you're folding over the edges and not really rolling. But as you get a little bit further along, it'll feel more like a roll and less like a fold. So we're just folding, rolling, folding and rolling. Once we get a roll about the size of a drinking straw, what we're going to do is we're going to gently tear it off. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. Whatever little pieces are sticking out, just kind of roll them in. And then put this to the side. Then we're going to continue making another roll. So you should have 3 tubes of paper mache that look just like this. So we're going to take these 3 tubes and we're going to shape them into the figure. So one of the tubes, I'm going to fold in half. That's going to be the torso. Another tube, we're going to fold in half again. And these are going to be the legs. We're going to put the legs and the torso inside of each other like this. Okay, the third piece is going to be the arms. And the arms are going to go like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down because I can't hold it up in the air and work on it. And then I'm going to patch it together using strips of newspaper, which I've already prepared over here. So I'm going to take the strips of newspaper and I'm going to dip them in the paper mache flour mixture. And I'm going to just get rid of the arms right now and work on the body and the legs. And I'm going to wrap it. Just wrap it around, seal up that torso so that the legs are just going to be hanging there. Just wrap it around, smooth it out. Another strip. This newspaper is so sticky that this last bunch that I'm wrapping around, I didn't even put any paper mache on, and I'm just wrapping it on the wetness that's already there. Okay, so I'm going to leave this laying down because if you keep picking it up, it's going to fall apart. Remember, it's just newspaper and flour and water. Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit more reinforcement around the hip area. I may even take a dry strip and just fold around the dry strip. Okay, see there's enough stickiness on there. The dry strip will just blend right in. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the arms in towards the top. Remember, you need to leave a little space for the neck. I'm not going to pick this up. I'm just going to leave it laying down so that it doesn't fall apart. Dip it, squeeze out the extra, and just wrap. Carefully, carefully picking it up so that it doesn't fall apart. Wrap, crisscross. You want to get a nice shoulder area. Another strip. This one's dry. Just cover over it. Pinch it. Smooth it around, wrap it around. Don't be so concerned with perfection. Okay, so now we have a basic torso. Now you want to bulk up this torso depending on what kind of figure you're going to make. You can add some broader shoulders. You can take some of this newspaper and ball it up. Stick it underneath the arms. And I'm not balling it up too tightly, just a little bit. And then take some other strips and patch over it so that it stays on. Okay, and this is starting to give the top of the torso a little thickness, so it looks like it's starting to turn into some sort of chest. And I'm going to work on this continuously on top of the newspaper. I'm not going to be picking it up and looking at it because it'll fall apart. Okay, now the head. For the head, I'm going to take a strip, put some paper mache on it. And I'm going to ball it up. Okay, so we have a little head, maybe make a little bigger. Get another piece, put some paper mache on it, and kind of ball it up and wrap it around the head that's already made. Okay, you can take this head And add some more newspaper to it if you want to smooth it. What you should do is smooth it out before you attach it to the body. Try to get it to be more rounded or ovaled. His heads are really oval. So I'm taking some dry paper and using my hands, I'm just kind of forming some type of oval head. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And just use your hands to kind of smooth it out. After working with it for a couple of minutes, this is what the head looks like. You can see that it is an oval. You have your pointy part on the bottom, kind of like a thick almond. And then the top part is round, which is the top of the head. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this head to the body. We want to put it on top of the table with the pointy end of the chin facing out. So this is the way it's going to look. We want the pointy end of the chin facing up because we want this to look like a real person. So I'm going to put the round part of the head on top of the table, pointy end of the chin facing up. I'm not going to squeeze the head. I'm kind of leave it the way it is. Then I'm going to take some small strips of paper and I'm going to patch it to the body. Okay, you want to take little pieces. You want to patch it on. Kind of think of it as like a bandage. Okay, so some of the paper should be on the head, some of it should be on the neck. Remember, you are leaving a little neck so it looks like your figure has a real body. We are not going to worry about the back. We don't care about the back at this point. We can always do that later. What we're worrying about right now is the front and how it looks from the front. We're not picking it up. We're just going to leave it the way it is. Try to patch it on. Okay, we want to put at least 2 layers of patching because when this dries, we want this to be strong. So take some dry newspaper because this has so much paper mache on it already. It's super sticky. And you can just patch with the dry paper. Okay, so you want to do a few patches here. Just kind of smooth lightly with your fingers. Don't worry about what the back looks like. We don't care at this point. We just want the front to look really nice and smooth. Okay, so here we have the head patched to the body. So now we're going to start bulking up the arms and bending the elbows. Okay, so I'm taking a strip of paper and I'm kind of making the upper arm a little thicker. Okay, think about the body and how the shoulders should be thicker. The upper arm should be a little bit thicker. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bend at the elbow. Probably halfway down is where the elbow should be. Bend like that. And we're going to bulk up the elbow. Okay, so take a little piece of paper, make it into a little ball, add it on to the elbow, and then just patch. Now this elbow is going to want to flop around, so what you want to do is get another piece of newspaper and use it to hold and support your arm. So you can see that I have posed the hand, I propped it up on a rolled up or a crunched up piece of paper, and I'm just going to be letting it alone to dry. Do not pick up this figure. It is too fragile to pick up. You need to leave it on this paper. Doesn't matter what it looks like at this point. We're going to let it dry overnight before we pick it up. Okay, right now we're just working on the front. Okay, so look at what we're going to do next is we are going down to the hips. Of course, you can bulk up the hips by crunching up some newspaper, adding them on depending on what kind of figure you're making, and then patching on that paper with some more paste. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to bend the leg because this is where it bends at the hip. We're going to bend this leg in half here. We're going to prop it up. Again, using a ball of newspaper. You're going to find that this tube is going to tear. You see little tear? That's fine. Tearing is fine because we're patching it up. Then we're going to take and we're going to make a little foot. We're going to take the end of this and we're going to bend it out at a right angle to make a little foot. Leave it prop up on the surface. Do not move it. Okay, after this, we need to make a kneecap. Take a little ball of newspaper. With paste, put it on top. That's the kneecap. We're going to bulk up the leg. Remember that the thigh is going to be a little thicker, so I'm rolling up some newspaper with some paste on it. I'm going to put that along the thigh, and then I'm just going to patch it down. Remember that this does not have to be smooth. It does not have to be perfect. It's going to be lumpy because we're going to take pieces of newspaper and just patch them down. And right now, we don't care what the back looks like. We are working on the front. We're bulking up the leg, smoothing out with other pieces of paper. So here you see the finished leg, the knee, and the foot propped up against a little roll of newspaper. Please do not pick the figure up. Leave it on this background. You can compare this leg to the other leg. You can see where we started, where we finished. We're going to just prop this one up and let it dry. Okay, the next step is to let this, we should work on the other side. The next step is to work on the other side to make it look similar to this side. You can pose the arms and legs in different ways. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the whole thing with the newspaper like this. Do not pick up the figure individually. Do not pick up the figure individually. We're going to pick it all up like this. Once the forming is done, we're going to put it outside in the sun and let it dry. Now we're going to take the dried figure and we're going to peel it off of the newspaper. You're going to notice that there are some extra pieces. We're going to just tear off as much of the extra paper as we can. And you can use a kitchen knife to trim, or you can use an X-Acto blade to trim the extra newspaper off. What you're going to do next is flip it over. I would work on a new piece of newspaper, a clean piece of newspaper, and then using your scraps and your paper mache flour mixture, you're going to build up the back of the figure just like you did the front. Pick up this newspaper and let it dry. Next, gather recycled and other materials you have around your house. You're going to dress and decorate your figure with glue and your materials. Finish your figure. And this is what the finished figure looks like. Great job, everyone. Thanks for watching another episode of the Art Center's Art of Making. We would love to hear from you. Tag us at the Art Center at Home, and share this with a friend. We'll see you next time. Please stay connected.